Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Scootz episode. On this channel, we of course cover electric bikes, scooters, and other micromobility, but also topics such as automatic autonomous lawnmowers and snowblowers. And a really good friend of ours, Tom Malogny, who's here on the podcast with us, recently got a Yarbo snowblower to test and review and make videos with at his home in New Jersey. And it was actually really funny. I was at his house ahead of a big program we were running for another channel, and I saw this thing in a million pieces in his garage. And I'm like, that seems very complicated. And Tom was like, no, it's going to be cool. And it has become an internet sensation. Tom has produced 4 or more videos with the Yarbo snowblower, autonomously clearing snow out of his driveway in New Jersey. For those of you who watch our other channels, you of course know who Tom is, but Tom runs a great YouTube channel called State of Charge and also a great website for EV charging enthusiasts, evchargingstations.com. So Tom, welcome. Comp has so many questions about this, but I'd love for you just to tell us briefly about the Yarbo snowblower, how you found it, how you got involved with it.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, I was at a trade show, it might have been a CES a couple of years ago, and I saw a company that had a autonomous snowblower. It was Yarbo, and I was like, well, that would be so cool. Kyle, you've been in my house many times. I got a big freaking driveway, man. You know, it's 6,000 square feet. It's long, it's windy, it's uphill, it's a big slope. So, you know, I used to have a plow on a truck. I used to do it with a plow, but I got rid of that. Now I have a snowblower. And while I do it, it's a hassle. So what would be cooler than having this autonomous thing go out there and just clear your driveway while you're inside, nice and toasty warm? So I reached out to the company a couple of years ago and they never responded. So, okay. But now, then last year, they reached out to me. I guess my channel, State of Charge, is getting bigger, even though I don't really do this. This isn't my wheelhouse. As you can see behind me, it's really electric vehicle charging equipment. But on occasion, I'll do other battery-powered devices. So they reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to review this? And I was like, you know, I reached out to you guys 3 years ago and asked you, and nobody responded. Well, they said, well, we'll send you one if you want one, but you have to produce a video. You could do and say whatever you want, no strings attached. So I said, hell yeah, send it out. And I got it like the day before you came to my house and saw it in pieces. It was a pain putting together. It took me a while. There's a lot of pieces, and then you have to program it. You got to walk it around your driveway. But now I've done 4 snowstorms, and I have to tell you, the thing works great. It's not perfect. It can't do every storm for this kind of driveway, but my driveway is pushing the limit for this thing. It really, for a big, heavy snowfall, 6,000 square feet, it might be a little too much for it.
Yeah, I've got a million questions, but this is actually Comp. It's your first Out of Spec Scoots interview, and we're talking about snowblowers. But I'll let you go right ahead.
Heck yeah! Welcome to be, or happy to be here. Welcome. We usually do like little micromobility things, but this is a little cool micro thing that you can't ride, but just amazing technology. How long did it take you to program it, Tom?
So, you know, it took me more than a day, but don't forget, I was shooting a video. So, you know, I was adjusting camera angles and everything, getting distracted so the average person, you know, figure a solid 5 or 6 hours to assemble it, program it. There's a data center you have to install outside, so it has satellite connection. So there's a lot of work. This isn't something that some, you know, wealthy person's going to buy, take it out of the box and say, go clean my driveway. No, you're going to invest some time into this. I actually talked to Yarbo about this, and they are going to try to set up, like, have an additional service. If you buy it, you want to spend $1,000 more or whatever, we'll send somebody to your house. They'll do all that for you because it's expensive, you know, and I think a lot of the people that have the money to buy this might not want to waste a day of their time programming it. You know what I mean? They're the people that view their time as worth more than them, you know, whatever, to pay somebody to do it.
What do you think the price point, like it's like what, $5,000 for the whole unit? What do you think is a reasonable price point that, like, as just somebody who would like to get into something like this, I would think around $2,000 or so. If it was down to there, it might be more practical.
Well, understand there's a lot of these new autonomous things coming out, like lawnmower, snowblowers, but Yarbo's system is a little bit different than the others because it's a system. The snowblower is an attachment. The core is the main unit that has the tracks on it. And then you can buy the lawnmower attachment and put it on. So now you're saving money on your driveway plowing or snow blowing, and you're also setting it up to do your lawn. So I'm going to have some extensive lawn mowing tests in the spring. But if it can, I have 2 acres here. If this can clear my 6,000 square foot driveway and mow my 2-acre lawn, then it is worth $5,000 or $6,000 because I'll easily spend that in 3 or 4 years. So, it depends on the size of your lawn. They're coming out with one that's half the price for smaller properties. It's just coming out this year. It's the M series. I have this one as the Pro, is the Y series. So they're making a smaller one that costs a lot less capable. But for people with smaller properties, if you have a driveway that's like 20 feet wide by 30 or 40 feet wide long, like that's like an average driveway that can park 4 or 5 cars on it. You don't need the unit that I have. It's overkill for it. So that's why they're coming out with a lower cost unit.
Hey, Tom, what can you tell us the specs on this thing? Because I guess from my understanding, watching your videos, it goes out until the battery's at 10%, something like that, and then comes back to wirelessly recharge. How big's the battery? How long can it run? Can it go longer mowing grass than blowing snow? What does that look like?
I don't have the information on cutting grass yet, Kyle, because I haven't done it, but I would have to say absolutely. I expect it to go much longer on cutting the lawn because it's not, the moving snow is a tough job. So the way it works now is the battery's like a little more than 1.3 kilowatt hour. So it'll run for blowing your snow for about an hour, little bit less if it's heavy, wet snow, and longer if it's powder. I think about an hour and 20 minutes if it's powder, but about 55 minutes. I was timing it on that last nor'easter we had. That was just heavy, wet snow. Then it will, you can set the starting and ending state of charge, but you can't set it to go high, you can't set it to charge higher than 80% during a work cycle. It'll charge to 100% to start, but then during a work cycle, it'll only go to 80%, and the lowest you could take it down to is 15%. So they don't want deep discharges. We all know why, and also so that it's not on the charging pad too long. It gets back out and continues working, and then comes back and charges. So the default is 20 to 80. I lowered it down to 15. Because of my driveway so long, I wanted to get a little bit more action out of it. So that's how it's set. Yes, it goes back to the charging pad and recharges up to 80%. Takes about an hour. But I noticed also, and you and I know all about this because we do EV charging recordings, when it's bitter cold, it takes a little bit longer. Even charging at this level, we had that crazy cold streak here on the East Coast where we had, for 3 weeks, it was below 10 degrees. Many days it was below 0 Fahrenheit. And it took an extra 15 minutes to get to that 80% when it was down around 0 degrees Fahrenheit. It took a little bit longer to charge.
Are you, with being a programmed small autonomous robot, just thinking sci-fi, you ever think it's just going to kind of do its own thing and start chasing after you or ever? So.
Well, it does have recognition features. The AI features are pretty weak, but it does recognize people walking in front of it. So it will stop if there's somebody when it says person detected, and you got to it was hard for me to record because I had to sneak up on it and hide behind bushes, and record it. Otherwise it kept stopping and saying person detected, even coming up from behind it. But I will tell you one really funny story. During the 2 storms ago, it was very cold and my driveway was icy, and it actually got stuck one point. I think, no, that's not it. But there was a part where it got stuck, and even with the studded tracks, it was slipping a little bit. So I went out to get it, and it was on the part of my driveway, Kyle, that bends and goes down on a slope, and I slipped. My legs went right out from underneath me, right? I boom, and I'm laying on my back on the driveway, and all of a sudden I hear it turn on and go, zzzz, and it was coming at me. And I was like, I'm struggling to get up because it's icy and everything. But there is a guard on the front. In this video, I took the guard off because with that last storm, I knew the heavy, wet snow was going to cake it up. So I took it off, but there is a guard where it should stop it from hitting you. But I didn't want to take that chance. I'm like slipping and trying to get up, but it was coming right for me. And I guess because I was laying on the ground, it didn't identify me as a person, you know? So yeah,
that is insane. I mean, I guess what does it use to find out if it's got LiDAR, right?
My version doesn't have LiDAR. My version does have radar and cameras. There's a lot of cameras around it, and it's really cool. You can watch it on your cell phone as it's going. It's so cool. You have all the views. It's like, Tesla cam, and as it's going up the driveway, you see the snow getting churned into it and blowing out. It was pretty cool. So I guess the camera recognition, Kyle.
Well, I've got one last question for you, and then I'll let Comp hit one last because we're running up on time. But the last thing from my side is, what do you hate about it? Like, what's bad? Obviously, the price, I think, can be justified after the setup, assuming you get years of use out of it. But is there anything else that's bad about it?
Well, to me, the only pain point is it has to work all the time. It can't, even if it does your snowstorm, it gets stuck once in the middle of the night, which it did. Like, I had to get up. I got a notification on my phone. It's stuck. It was 3:00 in the morning. And I just wanted it to continue and be done by the morning. So I had to get up and unstick it. So, I wish it was a little bit more powerful, and of course that's going to add cost to it. And also in that last storm, you noticed at the very end, the chute was getting clogged. Again, it needed to be a little bit more powerful to throw that slush out of the chute. Yeah, we have a picture up there now. I think you're watching of it getting at the very end of the storm when the snow was just slush. But almost all snowblowers have that issue where the chutes get clogged, but you're there walking with it, so you could easily unclog it. If you're in your house sleeping or whatever and it gets clogged, it's a little bit of a hassle. So if I were to say one more thing, Kyle, I would say I wish it was 25% more powerful. And even if it made it cost a little bit more, also offer the low cost version, but you need to be able to just not worry about this, to turn it on and it just works every time. And you don't have to ever worry about going out and getting it unstuck or unclogged.
Comp, what do you have for Tom to finish this thing up?
Well, I'd like to go off of Yarbo just a little bit and to micromobility. That you're in New Jersey, Tom?
I am, yes.
That New Jersey, I'm working on a video for regulations. They are one of the states that just turned out legislation in January that now all e-bikes need to have full registration, need a license for things. So is there a big issue with electric vehicles, small electric vehicles in Jersey?
There is. I have friends that live. I used to own a restaurant in Montclair, and I have a lot of friends that still live in Montclair. And I actually have a really good friend that owns a bicycle shop in Montclair, the Montclair Bikery, and he sells a ton of e-bikes. And I was talking to him recently when I was in there. This was before the legislation got passed. It was in the fall, I guess. And he literally said, he goes, these things, I can't keep them in the shop. I'm selling tons of them. They're fantastic. He goes, something has to be done. He said, just look at the street. The young kids are just buzzing through at 30 miles an hour through intersections, crisscrossing busy roads. He's like, everybody in town bought their kids one of these things. Because it's an affluent community. Most of Montclair, not all of it, but most of it is an affluent community. So buying your kid a $300, a $3,000 e-bike is not a stretch for most people that live in the town. And so there's so many of them that it's like you're afraid to drive because the things are coming out. So I get it. It kind of sucks, but I understand. There's some communities where there's so many of them, they're a hazard. And, no one wants to see a kid get hit or killed or whatever, so people are actually afraid to drive their cars with these things buzzing around.
Yeah, I don't think it's a horrible thing for all states to put in some legislation like that you've got some serious power when you've got even 500 watts behind you. And it's not eliminating people's ability to do them. It's just given more regulation, and some training would be nice, that if people needed to get licensed to operate something that's motorcycle-like.
And they are motorcycle-like, you know, they really are.
Comp,
And little kids are driving them.
You got to go over to Tom's friend's place and shoot a video.
Yeah, that'd be
that
excellent.
might be worth heading up there to do a little collaboration with their shop.
Yep.
Tom, always appreciate you coming on to chat about anything. Now you're the snowblower guy. Actually, maybe you can just speak briefly to, we talked about this ahead of the show, but for those of you who watch this channel and just this channel, maybe you don't know Tom. Tom is like the EV journalist for the longest time, covering charging forever. And now he's getting recognized for his snowblower reviews. And so tell everyone what's going on with that, Tom, because it's funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Kyle could tell you, I've been reporting on electric vehicles since 2009, 2010, somewhere in that era. So 16 years or so, I've been driving them. I've been writing and making videos. And, I agreed to review this autonomous snowblower really more than any reason, because I wanted it, So yeah, you're going to send me that? Sure, I'll make a review. And it blew up. The videos went viral. Really, the little snippets I put on X went viral. And, I really tried to get an angle that might hook. And you showed it before. I climbed up into the woods and set the thing up like on a tree above my driveway, and so I did a little work to try to make it go viral, but I had no idea it would go as viral as it did. Many, many millions of views. I was on 3 different Fox networks, NBC News, CBS News, 1010 Wins News, AccuWeather. I did tons of reviews. And the hilarious thing is, I've been doing this EV stuff for forever, and I get recognized on occasion, not like Kyle, but I get recognized on occasion when I'm going out, when I'm charging, even in airports. But now, since I did this thing around here, everywhere I go, people are like, hey, wait a minute, you're the snowblower guy. You know what I mean? I even had UPS. I was walking down to get my mail the other day, and a UPS driver stopped in front of the house, and he looks at me and he goes, I knew if I kept driving, I would recognize that driveway. He goes, you're the snowblower guy, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, that was awesome, man. And then he just drove away. But, it's funny that, I do all this stuff with EVs for so long, and it takes this one little autonomous snowblower thing to go viral to get me recognized. But anyway, it's funny. Listen, you could take it any way you want. Kyle will know. If you get views, if you get clicks, if you get eyes on you, there's almost nothing bad that you could be doing. I added like 2,000 subs on YouTube, 2,500 followers on X. So, it is what it is. Would I prefer it to be for electric vehicles that I went viral? Of course. But hey, I'll take it however it comes.
That's awesome.
Well, thanks for coming on, Tom, and thanks for helping to host this comp, and wish you the best of luck in your snowblower and autonomous lawn mowing adventures, Tom. Maybe we can get you an e-bike sometime soon. You can share what that's like on this channel. That'd be kind of fun.
I have 3 of them.
Oh, well, okay, sounds good.
I bought them from my friend's shop. I have the Specialized. Me and Meredith have matching Specialized e-bikes. So yeah,
sounds like a good review coming soon, comp. I think y'all got to do another interview about those. So thanks again, Tom, and we'll see everyone on another episode again soon. Bye-bye.